searching for salvation. Can we find our way back, way back? Caught up in confusion, need a resolution. Can we find our way back, way back? No more running, no more running, no more chasing. No more running now, I'm running out of patience. Caught up in confusion, need a resolution. Can we find our way back, way back? Searching for salvation. Can we find our way back, way back? Caught up in confusion, need a resolution. Can we find our way back, way back? No more running, no more running, no more chasing. No more running now, I'm running out of patience. Caught up in confusion, need a resolution. Can we find our way back, way back? Can we find our way No more running, no more running, no more chasing. No more running now, I'm running out of patience. Caught up in confusion, need a resolution. Can we find our way back, way back?
What's up guys, Tiga here from ProNDC. Welcome to another ESO build video. So in today's video I want to show you the Stamina Sorcerer PVE build update for the Dragon Bones DLC. Today I want to show you, please don't quote me on that, like the max DPS version of this build, or I want to focus a bit more on that. I will of course give you some gear alternative. With Stamina Knight Blades basically being the strongest DPS class, sometimes Stem Sorcs, yeah, most of the times actually the Stem Decay, they are like what we call the buff bitch, because like we put debuff sets on them like Night Mother's Gaze and Thunder Flame, and Stem Sorcs, same as Stem Decays, are like the two classes that do most heavy attacks in rotation. That's why like Thunder Flame is really effective on Stem Sorc and Stem Decay. Anyway, we'll get right started with the stats. I'm a Red Guard. That's the race that I recommend. You can go, of course, with Orc or Imperial. Don't really recommend Khajiit because we use Mechanical Acuity. We're sitting at 41.2% crit unbuffed without Mechanical Acuity, of course, because it gives us another 100% crit chance on top. Warrior Munda Stone, all points in the stamina, and max health, max stamina food. Gear-wise, we run Storm Fist for trash and all bosses that have a hitbox that is too small for Velodreth spores. Like if you have boss fights where 2 or more spores can of Velodreth can hit the boss, go with Velodreth, because like this, like on Velaria, this can give you like 5k plus single target DPS. That's insane. Stormfist won't be able to give you that much DPS, but there's fights like Vhof, first boss, second boss, for example, fourth boss. I think like first boss Vmol and twins, of course, like where you can only hit with 1 spore, but like on Rakat you can hit with 2 spores. Assembly General, I think like 2 or 3. Valarial 3. Foundation Stone Atros should also be 3. And yeah, like those are fights like where you should switch the monster sets around. If you're on console, like you should decide if you want to either run Velodreth or Stormfist. If you have sustain issues, you might want to stick with Stormfist throughout the whole trial, and it's better in trash anyway, and it also helps a little bit with concussion uptime. So those are the 2 monster sets that I recommend. Then the first 5-piece set that we use, as I said, is Mechanical Acuity, a Nirnhold Dagger here on the main hand, and Infused Axe on the offhand. We have a poison damage glyph here and a weapon damage glyph here. On Daedric bosses, of course, you want to run a prismatic glyph. However, I'm not entirely sure if like double infused with the prismatic glyph is better than Nirnhold and infused. Like, from my personal tests, I had better results with this on the Stem Blade, where I do basically all light attacks with double infused. Maybe if you do more heavy attacks, like on Stem Decay or on Stem Sword, you're better off with Nirn plus infused, even with the prismatic glyph. I'm not really sure, to be honest. So yeah, Mechanical Acuity. Then there's also a question: do you want to run Dagger plus Axe? Do you want to run Sword plus Axe? I'm really not sure. The results were so close that I cannot really make up my mind which is better. I think like Dagger is just like the safest approach. Don't go double X, because especially if you're a console, you cannot constantly switch your weapons. Double X is like really bad on trash, because you waste a lot of crit chance, you waste a lot of raw damage, and you barely proc the X bleed in trash fights. That's why I don't go with double X. We have 3 armor pieces of Mechanical Acuity, all divides. And yeah, this is weapon damage, spell damage, stamina, magicka, and then of course 100% crit for 5 seconds with an 18-second cooldown. So maximum uptime is 28%. You will always be around like if it's really bad, you have like 25% or so, which is still like 1/4 of the fight. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, we combine that with Automaton, so we get that from Darkshade Caverns, all weapon damage. And like the only ability that does not do physical damage in our rotation is actually Poison Injection. And Poison Injection is still pretty strong. Like we're sitting at 3.7k unbuffed weapon damage, and Automaton just goes on top of that. And if you're fully buffed in trial, we sit at more than 6k weapon damage, or around 6k weapon damage. And then on top of that, we still have the Automaton weapon damage, which does not show here in the stats. So Poison Injection will still hit pretty hard. Don't worry about that. Automaton, like there's people giving me shit for like using Automaton for the last, I don't know, like 3-4 patches. They're like, oh, the Automaton, like people like if you wanted to join my group, I won't take you with me because you use Automaton. It's like complete bullcrap, because that's like the strongest set that you can have on Stamplar and Stamina Sorcerer. Anyway, people think they know better. Let them be. So we have 2 Automaton body pieces, and yeah, you could go 5-1-1. I haven't really tested it out yet. Like I've just heard from people that with Acuity, 5-1-1 might even be the better option. If you go 5-1-1, just keep the dagger at all times, otherwise your crit chance will drop too much. Like you will lose 4% crit chance. You could go like 1 heavy chest and light shoulders or light sash, and you're good to go. And then you'd have more stamina, more health, and more magicka, and you don't have to like re-enchant stuff if you think like 16.2k health is too low. On the back bar, we have our Maelstrom Bow, Nirnhound, with a double dot poison. That's pretty much it for this setup. If you like, there's fights where Acuity, I think, is not really that good. Fourth boss and VHOF, I think the old setup is a little bit stronger. So 5 Automaton on the body and 5 Vicious Ophidian. Let me just actually... So Vicious Ophidian, I only have 1 dagger. That's kind of an issue. I need a secondary. I only have an axe. With the axe, you're sitting at just like 61% weapon crit, rate buffed. And that's a little bit too low for me. I'd like to have the extra 5%, to be honest. But still not like too bad. So Automaton, 5 pieces on the body, Ophidian gear, and 2 weapons would be the alternative setup. But as I said, Stem Sword can be one of the buff bitches. Like, we call it buff bitch. And one of the sets you want to then wear is Thunderflame. So you wear Thunderflame jewelry pieces you get from City of Ash. When you deal damage with a fully charged heavy attack, you deal additional flame damage, and you reduce the enemy's physical resistance by 3.3k for 8 seconds, which is pretty cool. So you could either run Thunderflame weapons and 3 jewelry pieces, or you can run 3 jewelry pieces, 2 body pieces, and then like use Night Mother's Gaze weapons and 3 Night Mother's Gaze body pieces, and then you reduce the physical resistance by a ton, and that's really cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it for gear options. For skills, I'm not sure like if people made up their mind. I've heard from some people that they use the other morph for more single target DPS. Shrouded Daggers does AoE DPS, but a little bit lower single target. I don't really know how big the difference is. The thing is, I decided to go with Shrouded. I used the other morph in the past already. I decided to go with Shrouded because it's easier, especially for the console people, to just keep the skill setup in trials and dungeons and not like having to swap around skills all the time. Like, what I personally do is go with the other morph, and for trash fights, for example, go with Steel Tornado, which I haven't even leveled here because I barely play the Stem Sword. I'm not really good on the Stem Sword. Like, I'm okay, I guess. But there's so many other players that are far stronger, and yeah, far stronger and more experienced on this class. I used to play it a lot back then with VMA weapons. Like, I was actually pretty good in the past on Stem Sword, but yeah, different meta back then. So go with Steel Tornado here instead of Rending Slashes, and keep the single target morph, the other morph of Shrouded Daggers, for AoE. That's what I do. But as it's easier, especially for the console people and for more casual players, go with the Shrouded Daggers. That's like the safest bet. That way you don't have to switch skills all the time, even for trash fights, because this one also does AoE damage. Then Rending Slashes, a single target dot, bleeding damage, Hurricane, AoE, also gives you resistance buff, pretty cool. And then we have Deadly Cloak. So we don't actually need Deadly Cloak all the time, so you have some options. You could go, because it gives you more weapon damage from the Slayer passive, with Expert Hunter. Then your rotation basically stays the same, but you cast 1 more Shrouded Daggers, which is cool. What you could also do is go with Trap on the front bar. Also gives you the same weapon damage boost, but you cast Trap on the front bar. That way, you cast Shrouded Daggers one time less, same as with Cloak. But you also don't need to cast Trap on the back bar. It's up to you what you want to do. I don't really notice like a big DPS difference in like going with either Trap or Expert Hunter on the front bar. Because like I said, you can use 1 more spammable, and it hits relatively hard in trials. So not like most people will just still go with Expert Hunter and just cast 1 more skill on the back bar. Keep in mind, like, you have way less weapon damage here, and Acuity is not active, and spending less time here on this bar, yeah, can give you a slight DPS increase. Anyway, for the people that want to play it safe, Just go with Deadly. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Deadly Cloak here. Because it reduces AoE damage taken. Bound armaments, 8% more max stam, toggle ability, so we use it on both bars. Flawless Dawnbreaker increases the weapon damage passively, also pretty cool. On back bar we use Ballista for single target. So here you have different options. For trash fights, we use Suppression Field because it does extra damage every 0.5 seconds. People forget that ultimates scale off your max stats, even if it does magic damage and you don't really boost it with all of your champion points. It's still pretty good. Like it lasts 12 seconds, has an 8-meter radius. That's pretty cool. So for trash, we just slot this, and for bosses, we go with Ballista. If you don't want to go with Ballista and you want to be the cool kid and buff your allies, you can go with Storm Atro. You pick the Greater Storm Atro. I think that's the one that lasts longer, like 5 seconds longer. And the cool thing about the Atro is you can, like allies can use a synergy from that. Like an ally near the Atro can activate Charged Lightning, granting the ally in the Atro Major Berserk, increasing the damage done by 25% for 8 seconds. That's quite the damage boost, to be honest. So your Atro does more damage, and you can buff an ally. What you should do with the Atro then is not just like put it on you, like press R or like use the ultimate and just like put it on you, because you might not be able to see some mechanics and other stuff, like important stuff in the fight. So what you should do is turn around, put the Atro on one of the ranged people. You can buff the Sorks and the Mag Blades. They will be really, really happy if you buff them with the Atro. And there's like a relatively small difference between Ballista and Atro from what I've heard. I've never used it. You can see it's not morphed here, but I've seen people using it and they were like, no, they didn't say like, oh, it's really bad, don't use it, it's a bad skill. They were relatively satisfied with the results. And on top of that, like especially if you like run Sunder and Night Mother's Gaze, you just want you're the buff pitch. You can also just go with the Atro and try to help some of the ranged DPS with some more damage. Then Razor Caltrops, AoE dot rearming trap gets us minor force, 10% more crit damage, good single target dot. Same goes for poison injection, great single target dot, and then endless hail for the Maelstrom Bow, strongest hitting stamina ability. Like this does the most single target and AoE DPS. Anyway, that's for the skills. Like I said, for trash fights, you want to go with Steel Tornado here and go with Suppression Field. You're pretty much good to go. There's another thing people do nowadays for trash, but you'd need a lot of skill points. Let's go with the two-hander. You could go with Cleave. Slot, I think, like twice Fanged and Mechanical Acuity. I don't think you need a monster set for that. And just go with a Master 2H, because like Cleave then does more damage. And one of the morphs gives you a shield, which is pretty cool. But I'm not sure like how much more AoE DPS you get from that, and I haven't really tested out. You know that Allcast used to publish 2H Stamstork builds, and it's actually not that bad. But for the console people, you'd have to constantly swap your setup and your skills. I don't think it's worth it, because like the time saved you might have on trash fights, like you lose that on console by having to swap your skills and gear all the time between trash and boss fights. And that's, if you want to go for scores, just go with this setup. It's pretty like the simplest solution. So let's get into champion points. So with the green tree, we have 37 to Warlord, 49 Mooncalf, 76 Tenacity, 34 Tumbling, 44 Shadow Board. No, not the blue tree. 61 Ironclad, 22 Spell Shield, 49 Hardy, 49 Elder Defender, 14 to Thick Skinned, 19 into Quick Recovery. And for the blue tree, we have 56 into Mighty, 52 Thaumaturge. Keep in mind you need the 52, not 51, because you won't hit a jump point. 56 precise strikes, 24 piercing, 52 mastered arms. To be honest, like, I think to not over penetrate too much, you want to go with 61 precise strikes, 19 piercing. But yeah, you lose a tiny bit of DPS on trash, but might gain a little bit more in boss fights. The difference is relatively small. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the CP for the skeleton. I mean, you saw the DPS test at the start of the video. What I do before the fight, I always cast Cloak, and then I start with the trap, hail, caltrops, poison injection, and if my blister's ready, I use it into a bar swap. Then Hurricane, Rending Slashes, and then I do 2 fully charged heavy attacks into short daggers, light attack, deadly cloak, and then I go with hail, caltrops, hail, trap, caltrops, and then poison injection. And every time my Hurricane runs out, I recast it. Even if I'm on the back bar, I just bar swap, recast Hurricane, and then go back and keep on casting my dots. Anyway, basically pretty much looks like this. Light attack, hail, light attack, caltrops, light attack, poison injection, Hurricane, Rending Slashes. Because I didn't use the ultimate, I can use 3 shrouded daggers. Light attack, cloak, hail, trap, caltrops, poison injection, heavy attack, slashes, heavy attack, Hurricane because it ran out, light attack, cloak, and we do the same stuff again. Okay, my cloak is about to run out. I use 1 less shrouded daggers. That's pretty much it. That's basically how it works. A little bit of a dynamic rotation. If the fight goes on longer, you will see that at some points Hurricane runs out while I'm on the back bar. Then I swap to the front bar, recast it, go back to my back bar, stuff like that. So yeah, that's actually pretty much it. So guys, if you have any further questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button, and if you do not want to miss any more ESO content, hit the sub button. I'd really appreciate it. I hope you tune in next time too. So see you then. Bye bye.